Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela, everybody. Thank you so. Okay, let's see who's in. Crunchy Bee, Censorship, Algorithm. Maybe I'll look at the big screen. Oh, it's kind of quiet today, actually, even though I got the message out kind of early for once. Newbie123, welcome. Shari D is in. Yeah, we've got some different people. A lot of the regulars are not here today. Okay, so what is in the thumbnail? I guess we can start with that one. So it's a good guess, algae, mold, something like that. It's actually a bush, believe it or not. That's why it's out there in the desert with the snow. It's called Yaretta. Yaretta shrub. So never heard of it, of course. So here's the thing. I was very much into weird plants for many, many, many years. It'd be a bit of a stretch if this one got by me, but of course you can never know for sure. Computer's been a little weird. I'm kind of guessing there might have been like a shift around Monday. A lot of people have been talking about feeling under the weather around Monday, maybe Tuesday-ish. I just felt real weird on Monday, just kind of like sick but not sick. I don't know how to describe it. You know, it's just like tired, and the temperature seemed like it was getting hot, cold on me. But if I took my actual temperature, it was always fine. So, you know, no sniffles or sneezing or anything like that. I just didn't feel good, but I can't really put my finger on it. And then I went to bed, and then Tuesday I woke up. I was totally fine. Absolutely, totally fine. I haven't put on here that I do need to look up. That just reminded me. Okay. All right. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not making any sense. All right. So Yaretta shrub. So these blobby things. Here's some guy touching one. Oh, so slow. Yep, not helping any. All right, I'm going back. Oh, because it's huge. All right, got it. Okay, so what's under there? The best I can tell, they're calling it a shrub, and it's just like globules of like wood that grows like a giant blob. And then it has all these tiny little leafy things under it. On it, not under it. And that's what this green stuff is. So it's just like a mutant blob wood that then grows these. It's called Yaretta, or so it's either Yareta or double Lareta, Yaretta, Y spelling. But you can find either one. So this is kind of a close-up of it as far as the little leaf thingies. And the computer's really slow right now. Computer's been hinky, so it's another thing I see a lot around shifty times. So I did reboot it. I'm not sure if that's going to really help any. Yeah, sorry if the video is chopping. It says not receiving enough video. There's not much I can do. Like I said, I've rebooted. I tend to have computer problems around shift times. So I guess that's like a really tight close-up of it. The leaves of the Yaretta. Yeah, I looked around, and you can occasionally find like corners of it that are dead, so you can see the wood that's underneath. So it just looks like a molten stump when the leaves are not on it. Ooh, it is so slow. Okay, so you could kind of see in here the that's like the wood part of it. So yeah, it's just like I don't know, it's like a, how do you even describe that? I mean, have you ever even seen anything like that? So this is supposed to grow in Chile. We've seen a lot of shape changes and stuff for Chile. I just can't get over that one. It's just, it just looks ridiculous out there. So apparently they're like, they can be really old too. I should actually look that one up. I'm trying to remember if they said thousands of years or what, but it was a long time. Native to South America. Grows in the Puna grasslands of the Andes in Peru, Bolivia, northern Chile, and western Argentina. Altitudes between 3,200 and 5,250 meters. So triple that for feet. So way up there. I would not be surprised if we find more of these weird things kind of spreading, though. Evergreen perennial with pink or lavender flowers. The self-fertile flowers are hermaphroditic and pollinated by insects. Well adapted to high isolation rates typical of the Andes highlands and cannot grow in shade. See, there's like no info on this. It's totally bizarre, but 3,000 years old. Its very slow growth makes the traditional practice of harvesting it for fuel highly unsustainable. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have it disappear. I think that we'll just see more and more of it. All right, so hopefully this will. So this looks like a dead piece if it will ever, the photo will ever sharpen. See right here, it's not loaded yet. Waiting, 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 waiting. There we go. Okay, so that's what's under there. But like I see, it looks like the dead areas are just trunk on a lot of these. So there's just not a lot of info. There is photos of people laying right on it. So it's not really bushy if they don't sink in. I mean, if you lay on top of a bushy bush, then you just sink down in. But these people lay on it like it's hard. See, I don't think I chose that image, but there was an image like that. See if I can find it again. Images of people just laying right on top of them. You can see that they did not sink down in. Okay. This isn't the one I was thinking of, but it pretty much illustrates it. Okay, so she just sits on it like it is a stump. She's not sinking down into this thing. So I think it has to be pretty hard under there. And as I said, areas where there isn't greenery, looks like it's just stump material. So I'm thinking there's not a lot of info on these yet. You can see the wiki is almost non-existent. These guys might be kind of hot off the presses. I do expect to find more on the wiki later. Looks microscopic. Yep, nope. Yeah, and it's totally weird. You totally think, ooh, I got 1,000 yen, I think that is. It's about $9. Woohoo, thank you. From Newbie123. Appreciate it. Crunchy Bee's like, whoa, 1,000. I know. I have learned. I think everybody who does live streaming has had that happen, like, eventually, and get fooled by it. So now I know if there's a bunch of zeros on there to check the money. Okay, so that is beautiful Yaretta. I wouldn't mind seeing more of those. Those are really cool. This one already, yeah. Okay, so you can see it looks like there's a really hard stump there. Unlike that image that I showed you from Wiki, which I had not seen until I stumbled on it live on the show. But this file really looks like it's like these leaves grow right off the stump part. Because look, this is the dead part, and you've got these little circle things. So I don't know what exactly is going on with these, because I couldn't find any more info, but I think that we will see more of those. All right, Yaretta. All right, now we've got a virus thing, but it is not actually related to the sea specifically, but this is something I have never heard before. Several things, actually. The first thing is, see, my computer screen went out. I have to use my backup now. Actually, hopefully you can still see me. Move my water so I can see. Make sure I'm still on the screen. Yes. All right, yeah, I can't look at you anymore because I got to look at this big screen now. Yeah, my screen on my little computer is intermittently wacky today. All right, so what was my point? Oh, yes. Have you ever heard of viruses that if you get it the second time, you get more sick? Like your immunity actually goes against you. Now, I've heard of it with ADE, but that's a arm. It's but this one is. All right, I'll just. So one of them is Dang. I have never heard that if you get Dang a second time, you get worse. You can see I've typed this in before. I've definitely never heard of that with Dang. The other one is Zika. Now, Zika news. I'm like, well, maybe I didn't know everything about Zika, but I don't remember hearing anything about Zika being worse the second time either. And it just seems to me like the media fear porn would have loved that. Like, when they were fear porning it up with Zika, they would have been like, and if you get it, it'll be worse. Woo, woo. They would have just pounced all over that as another fear porn tactic. And I never heard diddly squiddly about that. Oh man, it's so slow. I'm going to close this other window here. I mean, I just can't imagine the news would give up even one molecule of fear porn over Zika during that time. Oh, look at how slow it is. What viruses get worse during the second infection? Now, you could say, maybe you could say chickenpox, shingles, but that's really just a different kind of infection, and it's not worse for everybody. And some people don't even get it. Everyone is familiar with the immunity created from many illnesses. Viruses like smallpox and chickenpox build an immunity with antibodies. Okay, so what they're saying basically is that for these certain ones, if there's like sort of like heavily variants, like they vary a lot variants, and they're calling them serotypes. I think they're serotypes, actually. I'm not sure on the pronunciation. Pretty sure it's serotypes. So what they're saying is that this is kind of like the enhancement ADE thing that we talked about for another virus that shall remain nameless. The virus that shall remain nameless had a lot of people were concerned about the arm pokes for that virus, but this one is actually kind of like ADE thing, this antibody-dependent enhancement, but it's with natural immunity. Your body, and this is one part I have not heard before with ADE. They're saying that your body, like say you get sick and then your body makes a bunch of antibodies. Okay, and then your body has that memory of that sickness. Now say another sickness that's kind of close to the one you had the first time, but not quite. But it's like different, fairly different, like more different than the virus that shall remain nameless variants that are currently existent, like more different than that. Different enough that they call it a different serotype, not just a variant. Comes along. So it's kind of like the one you had, but it's not the one you had. What they're saying is, in some cases, your body is like now apparently too stupid to realize it's a whole nother virus. And so they'll keep throwing antibodies from that old virus that you had. And that's one of the dangers it can have. And that this old antibodies maybe are not effective enough against this alternate serotype. So you basically have a bunch of antibodies clamping on to these viruses, but not really being that effective. They're not really stopping it. They're not killing it. In some cases, they're just confusing the body and hiding the virus from other antibodies. They could cause that virus to be able to enter into additional places than it normally could, That would be ADE, antibody-dependent enhancement. So they're saying that happens with dengue serotypes, and also with Zika. Okay, so, all right, I'm going to just read this because it was kind of confusing. The issue comes with antibodies that help defeat dengue the first time. So like the first time you got dengue, these same antibodies can help a similar infection spread and grow the second time. This is called ADE, or antibody-dependent enhancement. With ADE, antibodies recognize invading organisms that they believe to have seen before. They think they've seen them before, but they're actually like a little different. The antibodies then latch onto the organisms they cannot replicate and destroy the cells. Their plan is to kill those organisms. Though this might normally be inappropriate, dengue, it can lead to widespread attack through macrophages. Macrophages are cells which attempt to clean out the seemingly harmless bacteria by eating them. Instead, the virus reactivates inside and uses the macrophages to cause an even greater infection. So what they're saying is the antibodies come and they plaster out on the outside, but they don't kill it because they're not perfectly designed for that serotype. And then the virus is still active under there. Okay, so anyway, that's basically what they're saying. But then when I was researching this, okay, we've heard about ADE, I've talked about it, but I also found this other one that I have freaking never heard of, even though I've researched the heck out of this, and it's called original antigenic sin. They really call it this. I swear, it's totally weird. Original, there it is. Antigenic sin. And it's kind of like this ADE thing. See if it ever comes up. Blah, 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 blah. Or the Hoskins effect. Was that even on there last time I looked at it? Okay, so this is kind of what I was saying the first time. So ADE is when the antibodies clamp on there, but they suck. They don't finish the job, and they're just hanging on there, and they're like camouflage, and they're useless. Okay, but original antigenic sin is too stupid and lazy to recognize that the virus has changed, and so it keeps churning out the old antibodies from the old version. It's like there's an imposter version, and the old antibodies aren't working, but your body is dumb, and it just keeps churning these out for a while. So the second slightly different version of that foreign pathogen is encountered. This leaves the immune system trapped by the first response it has made to the first antigen it encountered, and unable to mount potentially more effective responses during subsequent infections. During infections with the first variant of the pathogen are subject to a form of original antigenic sin, termed repertoire freeze. Okay, all these terms I've never heard of. I have been looking into this for months and months. I have never heard of this, and then all of a sudden, boom. Okay, so they're saying that it has been described in relation to influenza virus, dengue, and HIV, and to several other viruses. I have never freaking heard of this original antigenic sin. Or basically, now your body is kind of dumb, apparently, and it'll just keep giving out the old antibodies, even though the virus has changed. So I'm still unclear on how much the virus has to change before this becomes an issue. Maybe it's different with every virus, but you could see that there could be issues, with variants and stuff coming down. Now, how much this whole storyline is going to develop, it seems like it's developing rapidly. I've never even heard of ADE, including the flu, and I've certainly never heard of that. Original antigenic sin. The terminology for it is kind of creepy, but I don't know where this is all going to go. And it's not all, just arm poke issues either, because this is being said to just be variants in general, or serotypes. So a serotype is basically more difference than just a variant. So all this stuff that we're hearing on with the latest virus that shall not be named, those variants are only a tiny bit different. Each one is like 99 point something percent the same as the original. But the serotypes supposedly have more difference between them. So I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to come down, but it's a lot different than I've ever heard of it being. It used to be that once you had antibodies, you had antibodies. And then the antibodies, they would say they were cross-reactive to another similar virus. That was considered a good thing, that they would, maybe kill some of those before even new antibodies got to be made. But now they're making it sound like it's a bad thing. And it's just totally out of nowhere. I have never freaking heard of any of this stuff. I don't like calling it the Mandela effect because it's going on since I was a kid in the 90s, but it's not any kind of deal breaker for me. I wish I could think of a better word for it. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. But, it's just every time the community tries to agree on a new word, nobody agrees on anything. And there's like then 500 new words that 500 different people prefer. And so it definitely could have. I mean, it could be like the dog poop effect or something. I don't know. I mean, Mandela is not my favorite, but hey, it's kind of catchy. Oh, it's a Japanese yen. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. That's, I just remember this dream. I don't even know what I was dreaming about, but I dreamt that I was like in Japan or talking to some Japanese, and I wanted to say thank you, so I tried to bow. And the person next to me bowed really low. And I don't even know how to do that. So I bowed really low. And then I somehow fell. Like I rolled. I just thought of that right now. In the dream, you're all clumsy a lot of times. So I got chicken pox twice as a kid. And the second time was worse. Huh. Well, that's not normal, though. At least not in my old timeline. I have not heard of anybody getting chicken pox twice. I've heard of people getting chicken pox and then later getting the shingles, but that's even then, I've only really been hearing of that since the last 15 years, I would say. They said the first time I had too mild of a case to get an immunity. They got to say something. They can't just say, hey, it ain't supposed to work like that. I've noticed that doctors are like masters of kind of schlocking out something to make it sound like they know what they're talking about. Like the word idiopathic. Oh, you have an idiopathic migraine. You have an idiopathic knee sprain. It just means we don't know what the heck. That's what idiopathic means. We don't know anything. But they can't say we don't know. So they come up with this fancy name for it. Rational thinking out the window, end of 2019, so don't look for it. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so, yeah, just watch what terminology you use because, ooh, everybody's been on the warpath more than ever in the censorship. So what I have heard is from a few people that the YouTube, YT, as they shall be called, has upped the censorship more, and they are now removing stuff that they say came from Russia. So basically, they'll just say this is, even if it's true, they'll just say this is Russian, like disinformation, but it's not disinformation. It's like Russian influence or attempt to influence, and they'll just say, oh, this is Russian, so we're removing it. So pretty much they can say anything now. They could is from Russia or whatever. They can say anything come from Russia, and we're removing it. So it's just weird because they're saying it's to protect our freedom of speech, but they're actually using it to remove our freedom of speech. Because now they can just say anything is from Russia. Oh, this was sent from, Russian operatives, so we're removing it. So, things sound good at first. Yeah, we don't want any shill accounts and stuff. Pretty soon, they'll just call you a shill account and get rid of you, and you're not a shill account. And everybody's going to believe them if they say they know. I mean, nobody knows me, so you guys do. But, I mean, beyond like 5,000 subscribers. If they heard that some girl named Eva was a shill account, and YouTube has all this information to prove it, they're just going to assume it's true. They're not going to know. Only the people that ever watched the show is going to have any idea, and that's, you know, hardly anybody. So one of the subreddits that I'm on in Reddit, called No New Normal, is also under quarantine now. So that means Reddit will probably delete it soon for spreading disinformation. So Reddit is now on the bandwagon with a lot of the others. So we're looking for an alternative. I think Vote shut down under pressure from certain government sources is the rumor. So Ruckus was an alternative, but apparently they've started banning all kind of stuff too. So they're doing the same thing. So I'm not really sure where group like board chat things like Reddit can be done safely now. It's getting difficult to have group areas. All right, so anyways, it's just kind of an FYI to be extra careful. Another thing, this has been going around that people who got the arm poke turned magnetic. Okay, there's a couple things. Now, I'm not saying trust the arm poke. I'm not saying that at all. But I did want to say that there is one issue with the storyline with this magnetic thing. Okay, and I don't know what's all the rest of the stuff. You know that I have covered lots of issues in other issues with that subject, okay? But for this one particular issue, I kind of want to play the part of a debunker now because there's some issues with this whole thing. So the storyline that's going around in the conspiracy community is that if you get the arm poke, that you might become like weirdly magnetic. And as people know, I have not received that which shall not be named myself. And yet, I do have the coins stick to my face. So let me see if it'll do it now. So what you have to do is you got to push it pretty kind of hard on there and it'll stick. You can see it sticks pretty good. That one's on there pretty good. You wear a little bit of makeup, it won't always stick good. So I'm sticking them on. So these are coins of different American coins. See, they stick pretty good. Occasionally one will fall off, but this one on the forehead's on there really good. Okay, so people are saying this shows that the arm pokes make you magnetic. Okay, so the first deal is that I have not got the pokes. And I know another person who have not got the pokes, and I tried it on that person, and they stick to him as well. So it's not just the pokes, people. The second issue that people are not covering is that American, it is not a type of mel that is magnetic. So it can't be magnetism. Okay. I'll put a penny on there to prove it. I like the forehead because it sticks the best there. I also find that right where you would put an arm poke in on the body, that part of the arm, it sticks to really good. It doesn't stick good on the forearm. And I don't know what the deal is, but I do remember seeing videos before the whole that virus that shall not be named issue started churning up, and I do remember like 3 years of somebody can stick all these spoons to their body and they're magnetic and these forks. So I'm thinking it might be something that has to do with sticky skin. So all the things that stick are kind of pretty flat and non-porous items. So coins stick. It's not just coins. So these are little plastic discs that go on the top of pop sockets. And I happen to have some of these because I sell pop sockets. So they are pretty flat and they are not very porous. And they're bigger. And I find that they stick quite well also. Just as good as the coins. They're not, maybe just a little bit less, but it is a bigger disc too. So these suckers stick. And I also was sticking on, this is going to make for some weird images. But I also stuck on, it was agate slices. So they're like about that big, and they're super polished, flat, shiny, agate stones. And those will also stick. So we've got plastic, we've got stone, and we've got non-magnetic metals that will stick. So none of those are magnetic. So whatever's going on, it's not magnetic related if plastic and everything does it. So I think it has to be sticky skin. Now I do want to make one caveat that I went and got the antibody test in May, and it did show that I have antibodies for the illness that shall not be named. So supposedly I've already had it, if the whole narrative and storyline can be trusted at all. I do have antibodies. You see that I am fine. I have no knowledge of any side effects or anything. So if I actually had it, then that means I had, that means that I did have, spike proteins in me. So maybe spike proteins makes for sticky skin. I don't know. Most people I know have not been antibody tested, but that other person that I tested the plastic and discs that also stuck, he also got antibody tested, and he has also had it. And we know that he got it at the end of 2020. He had different blood works because he was in the hospital for unrelated things. It was cancer, and they tested all his old blood. So his old blood samples. So they were able to narrow it down to the was sick then. Everybody was watching in 2020. If they even had the sniffles, they probably noticed it. So, I don't know, we've all had the spike proteins then, that means, even though we haven't had the poke. But again, like I said, there was a lot of video coming out like 3 years ago of special magnetic people who had metal stick to them. Well, I never saw them test anything else besides metal, like spoons and stuff. So those extra magnetic people, maybe plastic would have stuck to them. And all of the testing that I've seen online besides what I just did, nobody ever tried plastic or anything else. And like I said, a lot of people did coins, but coins in America are not magnetic. So I don't know, what's up. But I can tell you that the whole magnetic story, at least as far as the point where large objects stick on you, is, as far as I'm concerned, it's been debunked, because I've asked a couple other people to check. And they all found the same as I did, that everything sticks or nothing sticks. So anyway, it was kind of a not super busy week for Mandelas, so I thought I would cover that since we were already on the strips. The magnet sticks in my chest area. I think sticky skin is the reason I never tried the face. Yeah, everything sticks, though. Heavy and flat and not too porous. Like it's pretty kind of shiny. I do find around here the neck sticks and my forehead sticks really good. Other places stick, but not as well. And then some places don't stick. So I'm magnetic, except for I'm not. There are apparently some different sort of pokes. Some don't hurt, no side effects, and some make you ill like a dog. Some make you yeah, I don't know. There's all these different pokes by different companies, and then you're going to have individual reactions, but who knows if the same thing is in every batch. There's just so many unknowns. So, and even from a completely conventional non-conspiracy theory perspective, I did read that there had a percentage of the mRNA in the vaccine that's going to degrade before it is injected. They try to keep the percentage to a dull roar, but it was quite a bit. I mean, it was like 20% of that mRNA is already degraded before you get the poke. So, there could be quite a bit of variation in the quality. Different pokes as far as how they were made in the factory, in the refrigeration techniques, and how well they were adhered to, and how long it's been open. There could be quite a bit of variation there that we're not really privy to. I do remember early on there was a batch of one of the pokes in San Diego that they felt an unusual number of side effects were occurring, and so they recalled that batch, and they said nobody's getting any more pokes from this batch. And I never heard a thing about what became of that. They just basically said that they were being extra cautious, but who knows what to think on that. Has a government ever shut itself down for good? Not that I've ever heard of. It's kind of funny to even think about. I bet every smartphone is monitored already anyway. Yes, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure if they know your number, they at minimum can tell what cell phone towers your phone has been through. I would be surprised if that's all they could really do at a higher level, though. I hate the word idiopathic. I want to call them idiots when the doctor says that. Yeah, they have so many words for that. Or they'll just name it like a word and then act like they know anything. Like, they'll say, you have migraine. Okay, they don't really know what migraine is. They don't know what it caused. They don't know what causes it. They don't have a very good handle on treatments. It's got all these weird side effects with weird visual phenomena. They don't know why. But if you talk to them, they go, oh yeah, that's just migraine. Like it's like they knew and it's nothing or something. They don't know crap about migraine. But they'll act like they do because they have this, naming something does not mean you know diddly squiddly about what is going on. But they act like it does. My wife hit me with a frying pan and it stuck to my head. Yeah? I can get a coin moisture. But I have a relative that had said a thin refrigerator magnet actually stuck to them. But sticky skin isn't the same as magnetic adhesion, but who knows? Okay, but if you have a thin, shiny, flat magnet, that could stick from sticky skin or from magnetic functioning. So case. But I would say that if you stuck the magnet and it stuck, but then you took a coin and it stuck, or a piece of plastic and it also stuck, then probably the real cause is going to be sticky skin. There are some videos where you can see the pull they let go before it touches the skin. Yeah, I mean, some people have stickier skin than others. I'm just saying almost all of these videos I've seen are coins and non-magnetic items. I mean, coins are not magnetic. So I could be wrong, but for those people who are doing metal, I need to see them try plastic and stuff before I'm sold on it. Just because of my own experiments that, we're just not verifying any of it, like I'm sticking or nothing. Like nothing sticks on my forearm. Last I checked. Let's see. Yeah, see now forearm. It doesn't stick. Nothing sticks. Dropped it. I'll use the penny in case it goes in the couch. It doesn't stick. Oh, it almost stuck. Stuck for a millisecond. Okay, so, the skin is, and I've said before, I thought that skin was kind of changing and becoming more elasticy. So maybe that's related to the stick issue. A lot of coins are not metal capable of sticking from magnetism. Yep. I think what they call it's not ferromagnetic or something. It doesn't have the right. Not all metal is actually magnetic. People don't really realize that, but if you do the plastic, then there can be no arguments. I've been seeing actual magnets used. Yes, well, magnets will stick to me too. If they're thin and small enough, flat enough, they will stick. But like I said, if the magnets stick, but the plastic also sticks in the same way the magnet does, then the magnet is probably sticking just because it's flat and shiny with a smooth surface, as they all are. Well, not all of them are flat, but let me see them stick a round ball type magnet on their arm. Then I will be more impressed. Maybe it's just static electricity up and more. I don't think so. This is just, it's really, and if it was static, it should stick to my arm and other body parts. But no, it sticks really good right here. Sticks really good right here. A lesser amount, like right Ironically, it's right where they would stick that and poke if they were gonna, you know, in the face. I haven't tried everywhere, but okay. So, anyways, the grand debunkies. I hate to be a debunker because I know it's kind of exciting sometimes. People are get real theories, but you know, I think we need to try to be as honest as we can with stuff. All right, so okay, I don't actually have a lot, and that's another reason I decided to go with that debunking. I've been meant to do that for like a month now, and I keep forgetting. Okay, this one is from Jay Emblin. Texans, people in Texas. Have you heard of rain bugs? Rain bugs. You're lucky I almost had this one as the thumbnail, but then I got those Yaretta bushes, and I thought they were less creepy for once. Rain bugs, red velvet mites. They're also called red velvet mites. Now, it's kind of weird that they're called mites because they're not, like, usually you think of mite as something that gets on you and, like, you know, bites you or something, but they don't. And they're pretty big. You think of mites as really tiny, but these things are like the Texas ones are like a ½ inch, and apparently they have some in another country that are almost an inch. They're totally funky. These things are totally creepy. They look like velvet sacks or something. It is just so weird. Look. Apparently, these have always been in Texas. Jay Emblin is very suspicious that they weren't always in Texas. Red velvet mites. Velvety, bright red mites seen creeping around on rocks, planters, trees, or the ground, especially after a rain. They are harmless to people. These are considered spiders, believe it or not. They have 8 legs. However, in their larval stage, they have 6 legs. But you will probably only see them attached to an insect or other arthropod. Stick onto other insects. Now, they do say that they're insectivores. Have only one obvious body section. True velvet mites are usually no bigger than 1/8 inch long, but may be nearly a ½ inch long. This genus is most common in the arid Southwest, but they can occur in eastern states as well. Southwest, and I have never freaking heard of these things. Okay, related to spider mites and spider mites and chiggers. Okay, that's not the world's best. Have you ever seen these bright red velvet bag-looking things? People in the Southwest? Man, the internet is slow today. This is bad. So slow. Ever seen those things before? Look at this. It's not even loading. Yeah, I'm really suspicious there's like a shift because the internet is so bad. Look at that thing. If you saw that, I mean, you're not going to forget. It's totally creepy. But yet it looks all velvety. So apparently, they taste bad to insects, or to birds, so they're spit out. They have no natural predators, they were saying. Okay, so this one is fairly big, as you can see on this hand. They call them rain bugs because they will often come out after rain. But look, there's a bunch of them. I think they might call them mites because they're like, they stick onto other insects. Look at how many. There's not just like one. There's a whole bunch of these disgusting little beasties. Ooh, look at, there's one that's like multicolored. Guy's like a little pet dog or something. I have to say, they're not the ickiest looking spider I've ever seen. Ooh, look at this one's got stripes. This one's got Speckles, I had not seen these. This got little, like, it was like leopard print. This one's polka dots. Oh, how cute. Velvet mite. The least ugly spider I've seen in a while. Ooh, this one's extra fuzzy. I wonder how big these things are going to get. I swear these are very new. I looked them up on the wiki. They've got like almost no info. There's another one on a hand. Okay, so let's just do a quick... In fact, the giant red velvet mice, which are supposed to be like around here, apparently. And I'll tell you, I've been hiking many times after rain. It's a great time to go. It's cool. There's not any dust. But I've never seen any of these creepy beasts. So they're going... I wasn't even able... So the Texas ones are Dinothrombium magnificum. But if I type that in, I can't find like hardly anything. There's no wiki for it, and that's for sure. But I was able to find a wiki for Trombididae. I think that was it. Trombididae. Also known as red velvet mites, true velvet mites or rain bugs are small arachnids found in plant litter and are known for their bright red color. Some such as the genus Dinothrombium may reach 0.47 inches. All right, so they are active predators as grown adults. As early instars, they are often parasites of insects. One well-known species in North Africa is Trombidium holociricium. All right, so look, then there's just a list of genera. Human use. The oil for the red velvet mite is used in traditional Indian medicine to treat paralysis. So there they are, little dried up guys being used to treat paralysis. They've got 10 gajillion references on here, but that's it. So they've got a list of the species. If you go to these, like I clicked on Dinothrombium because I thought that's ours, and it leads you to like nothing, no information at all. So I really suspect that these are pretty new because there's like no wiki. They're really cool and interesting. You would think that that would be, you know, the subject of many and interesting stories in the news and et cetera, but no. So they are saying that they don't bite and they're harmless to humans. So there's that. You don't have to run screaming if you don't wanna. Baby ducks climbing walls. Seen it, not sure where. Baby ducks climbing walls. I've not heard of that. Climbing walls. I only started seeing red velvet ants last year. So they're not ants, they're mites. Red velvet mites. And they are a spider, arachnid. Have you seen the red velvet ants? Oh, okay, so you are talking about red velvet ants. I think I've seen those. I think those have been on. Maybe it was by other people, though, because they're kind of an older one. Oh, yeah, actually, that kind of makes sense, because first they come out with the red velvet ants, and then if you see red velvet mites, your brain has sort of a familiarity with this whole red velvet concept. Oh. could do it. You know, earlier today my computer just turned off, like for no reason. It was weird. Okay, so there's those guys. Fuzzy guys. But still looking... I've never seen any like this. I'm not sure where they're supposed to be at, but... The colors, though, so I definitely would be very careful of anything that is bright colored. Let's go for videos. Duck baby climbing the wall. Oh, that does look weird. I think I won't play too much of this video because it looks like a copyright strike waiting to happen. But maybe we can just click through a little bit of it. Turn off the sound. I'll replay the same bit. Okay, so they're somehow clinging on these bricks. They're sticking their little paws in between the brick holes. I've never seen ducks do that before, even little ones, so I'm pretty suspicious of it. The creatures are getting a little next level around here, I think. All right. And that might be all that my computer can handle anyways. I don't know if that's the one you were seeing. It is interesting. I am suspicious of that one. The ending to Back to the Future, I remember the parents dressed to play tennis. Now they're not dressed to play tennis. I also remember that. They were like total dweeby looking, dressed to play tennis with like these white, I think they had like white shorts or something on. And they had the tennis rackets, and they just looked totally like, you know, just goofy. The red velvet mite is actually a spider, and the red velvet ant is actually... Love this reality, I swear. I don't remember seeing our ones here years ago. I first noticed them 4, maybe 5 years ago. I'm talking about the rain bugs. One. Well, the good news about these, at least, is they aren't yet dangerous to humans. All right, so I did mention that I've been getting bit by the ants. So I looked them up, and I'm like, I've had them on here before. I'm like, all right, what are they saying about the Argentine ants stinging? Because they're... So first, in my reality, they never stung. Then they were stinging really hard. And I looked them up, and it says, yes, they're stingers. They sting. Okay, fine. So then, like, I think it was 2 years maybe went by, and then they didn't sting me for a whole year. And I'd see them on me, and I'd flick them off, but they wouldn't sting. And then I looked them up on the show, and it said that they are capable of stinging, but aren't actually sting. So they would be on you, but not sting. I'm like, okay, fine. That's a new storyline. Well, this year, they're stinging really hard again. So I looked it up. And I'm like, now what did they say? And they say that they don't sting. So I'm like, you're lying now. You're lying. I don't know. The timeline can't get its crap together or what. But I looked it up earlier and says that Argentine ants don't sting. So I don't know. I'm going to look. It better show me the same thing it did earlier today, or I'm going to be mad. But the Argentine ant was first discovered in California in 1907, and since then it has become widely distributed. The damage. Because it does not sting or bite humans, the Argentine ant is not a direct threat to humans, unlike the red imported fire ant. So these are not red ants. These are the same freaking Argentine ants that have been here for 20. We were killing some insects that were unrelated, and I do think that we may have kind of dial back the ant population this year because we're after something else. But I don't know what's going on. But they look exactly the same as the ants, but they're stinging really hard now. So they're claiming they don't sting, but they're stinging, and they've gotten aggressive like that a couple years ago, where they would just get on you and immediately. It's really obnoxious. I don't know. Maybe the timeline can't. Okay, so next thing, this one is from Disinformation World. Good find, Disinformation World. All right, do you guys remember that chess player Gary Kasparov? So, without cheating, just from memory, how do you spell Gary Kasparov? That is the question of the hour. And meanwhile, I'm going to go look at something else. So, a while back, I did have this harp sponge on. So this one is from John Austin. He was mentioning the harp sponge. I've had the harp sponge on, if it's ever going to load. But there's a new one in town. So I believe, if I recall, that I'd had them on, and it just looked like this one over here, where you just see like one of the harps. And then it kind of upgraded itself, so then you would see... actually, it looks like there's one more on it, because I remember there being like 4 of the cross pieces of harp the last time, but it looks like there's 5 now, so it's like a 5-pointed star. So it looks like it's grown one additional prong of whatever those things are. See, it still looks like there's only 4 there, but these ones look like they have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I don't remember any of them having 5 last time. So it has upgraded a tiny bit since last time. But now there's one called Ping Pong Tree Sponge. Sponge. That's not very useful. So these are 20 inches tall. And it's another kind of sponge, deep sea beast. It's not the world's best photo. How about that one? I don't think it's going to be very big, but maybe it'll load fast. Or not. Oh man, this is so slow. Forget it. All right, so apparently what it does is when like little critters swim by, they get stuck on these balls. These balls have like this grabby, scrapey stuff that sticks them. And then very slowly these balls, like kind of like an amoeba almost, slowly just kind of oop over the creature and slowly digest it. So it's really grisly because it will be like a slow digestion death. Totally gross. So the only place I remember seeing like something like this was they did have like this funky insect that had like a contraption like this on balls, but I don't think I've seen this one yet with the undersea ping pong tree sponge. I'm trying to remember if they said it was rare. I don't think it was super rare. I'm like, where were all the good documentaries on all these creepy things when I was a kid? They would just go on and on about penguins, and that was no ping pong sponges, no harp sponges, no velvet mites. Seems like I got the rip-off. I don't... Oh, there. Chondrocladia. Cladia. I kind of wonder if... Does the Mandela just have fun? They adds all this stuff, and then they're like... keep changing the genus, and oh, this is a genus of this, but no, then we decided it was there. And I mean, did all that stuff even happen? Carnivores. These species gained media attention when a new species, the gourd-shaped carnivorous sponge, was featured in reports of finds off the coast of Antarctica. Carnivorous sponges which use hooked spicules, that was the word I was trying to remember, to capture small crustaceans have been known only since 1995. Yeah, well, I think more like the last 2 years, maybe 3. Well, I think that harp sponge was kind of early in my Mandela career, so maybe like 5 years ago. All right, so not a lot of info on it yet. So again, I think it might be kind of newish. They're adding like everything together with the harp sponges and everything, and that's all we got. Not much. Oh yes, Shari, I wanted to cover that human skull one. Good point. Let's definitely run over to retconned. Since I haven't gotten kicked off of all of Reddit yet. Oh, so slow. Yeah, that was Will Work for Answers, I believe, was the user who came up with that one. Noticed. Oh, yeah, so, yes, on the discussion of the shift sickness, people were saying we think there was a shift like about Monday, Tuesday-ish. Monday for me. I felt totally fine by Tuesday. Let me go to old Reddit. Ooh, I have to check that one too. Where did it go? Dang it. I feel like I'm missing it. Maybe it was longer than 2 days ago? Oh, wait, right here, duh. Neck and skull change. Yes, from Will Work for Answers. Good find, Will Work for Answers. Oh, and the ping pong tree was from John Austin. So good find, John Austin. Thank you. I felt sick last night. Went to bed early. Didn't get much sleep. Pain in neck and skull. So he's like, okay, let's check out the neck and skull. So I agree with this. For me, the skull never had a pyramid-shaped cutout in the rear center. I'm like, what? For me, the neck bones are cervical bones and not fishtail at the ends. All right, so now I'm going to go to new Reddit. Because new Reddit will show these images. Between new Reddit and old Reddit, I can almost have a functioning system. Come on, computer, you can do it. All right, so yes, here we go. So I went through on Google, and not all images are showing this little chunk out of the back of the skull. I've not seen that before. And then these little fishtails out at the end, there's something funny with it. They look weird. I don't remember them looking quite like that. I do remember there being something here, but not that shape. They look like weird little pinchy things. Okay, so here's another back of the skull. What's up with these dents and these like grooves? I've never seen that. And this also has the V shape. There's a close-up. There's the weird groovy things. There's the fish tails he was talking about, where it's split. Split like the end of a fish. That looks very messy. So part of the reason I wanted to use that one is because the horribleness of my computer today. So I want to pull up the human spine and just kind of do a quick look at what those upper vertebrae are doing. It's going to take an hour to load, obviously. Yeah, thanks for reminding me, Shari. Good plan. I think I was planning to do it, and then I forgot to write it on there, and then every time I thought of it, I was no my clipboard to write it. Try a different pen. Those velvet red mites do bite. It's what's crawled on me early summer, I think. That's when I told my brother-in-law. Huh, that's interesting. Okay, so now they're saying stuff don't bite, and it does bite because those Argentine ants are biting the crap out of me. So I got bitten. I just got bit by one a minute ago. I swear, Israel Ramirez. So what's the new rule? Is that anything bites, you can't even trust the internet. Okay, so Kasparov, but how do you spell the Gary name? Because that's the one in question. How do you spell Gary as Gary Kasparov? There's also something going on with the eyes. Do you have any more hints for me on the eyes? This week I had peculiar pains in the back of my head, so I think there's something really happening. So I really had like a headache on Monday, but I didn't have... I felt a few twinges back there, but nothing really strong in the back. Just generally my head hurt. It wasn't really... I didn't feel good. How many people are feeling the back of their skull? I'm going to add one more thing that is Mandanimal chimes in with his spelling. Klingon forehead. It almost is like the back of your head is turning into Klingon backhead. Okay, let's see if we can see. Fortunately, images right now aren't that great. It's kind of interesting. I'm kind of seeing, see how this, it looks kind of, oh, I guess they have what, plastic or something? It's a little more disorderly than I remember. Yeah, so these neck ones at the top, I do remember, like, for a while now, not originally, but for a while now, they've had the cross pieces coming out of the other vertebrae. But something's going on with these neck ones that they look a little different, but I can't quite put what it was that they were last time I looked. But yes, I definitely do not remember that V thing. So there was one other thing, if I can ever get it to... Was it in here? I think it was in here. I was just kind of looking at some of my old front page images that are all in here. And let's see if I can find it. So there's one. There was one that was the back of the skull. I don't know if you remember, but a couple years ago they said something about the cell phone use or something that the computer use was causing people to get a bump, to grow a bump on the back of their head. And it just sounded really weird. It was like something about the way kids were holding their head was causing a bump to grow. And I had an image of it, like an x-ray. Here it is. I'm pretty sure this is it. And the x-ray used to just show kind of a bump. So then I looked at it again, and now there's like this, like a, I don't know, it looks like a spike almost on it. Are we going to load here this millennia? This is not even on the internet, but it is still slow. Okay, so here. I don't remember this spike being nearly so prominent. So it was like a little bumpy thing before, but now there's like this, it's a whole hook thing. So they were saying, you know, and then there's like this really prompt of flesh back here that corresponds with this bump. So they were saying I should look that storyline up again, come to think of it. There, here, here. All right, I'm going to give up on this one. Okay. David Kent does not remember the missing chunk. That looks all weird. Clinton foreheads. Yep. Clinton backheads. Okay, so the Gary Kasparov one, this is from Disinformation World. And so apparently Gary is now spelled with 2 R's for Gary Kasparov. So I'll type it in the way I remember it, which is the way you guys were mostly typing it, I think. So Kasparov hasn't changed, but Gary has changed. So I remember 1 R in ordinary spelling of Gary. That was the only spelling of Gary I have ever seen up until like this year, was with 1 R. I've never heard of anybody spelling it any other way than with 1 R. Gary Kasparov. Man, see, even like a Google takes an hour. R-R-Y Kasparov. Gary Kasparov. What a trip. And that is the guy. And if you type in the old way, you just get this new way. So, yeah, fine. You know, there's probably gajillions of these spelling ones, but I can't, you know, a lot of them I'm just not sure. I didn't know the old spelling well enough to say. And then there's probably everybody comes from different timelines on these or whatever, but brain tumors emanating from the ears. I'm not sure if I want to look at that one. There was a video game, Gary's Mod, with 2 R's, but that is the only time I've ever seen Garry. Well, it's one more time than I've ever seen. This word to me looked weird. A personal driver is called a chauffeur. Chauffeur. Let me see if I remember how to spell that. S-H-A-U-F-F-E-R, I believe it is. Or C-H, I should say. Chauffeur. Look, even just doing a dictionary DuckDuckGo search. Yes. S-A-U-F, E-U-R. That could still be right. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Chauffeur. All right, there's my spelling that I wrote. Is a chauffeur is a portable stove with a grate. Okay, so yeah, nope, that's not what I was going for. I don't know. I think that might be right. The only one I could say is maybe the U wasn't in there. Chauffeur. Better to me without the U, but that's not one I would swear to. Yeah. I don't know. How many of these are we going to get? Are we going to get like that where there's like a million of the same letter? Oh, so they're saying the brain tumors out the ear were from cell phone EMFs. Trying to think. EUR. I think EUR might be right for me. Okay, that one, got that one. Coming down the home stretch now. that one. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I've got everything I wanted to do. So that pretty much covers it. Matt Myers is in. I'm almost done, unfortunately. Sorry, guy. But since it's under 2 hours, it should post immediately. Yep. 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's a record for me for a while. Yeah, it wasn't super busy this week. Maybe the shift just passed. We might start to see more stuff. It feels like we're kind of still in the middle of the shift with the I felt good yesterday, but today I felt a little weird, not too bad, but the computer is really just acting up, and I see that a lot with the shifts. Anyway, I think that's about it then. You guys looks like you've got pretty much wound down on the chit chat too. Home stretch. So I think that I'm going to call it a night. Thank you guys for coming and contributing as usual. Very much appreciate it. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.